Hello, Ginger here from Art That Plays and Prays. I'm going to do a product comparison today between two Japanese Gansai watercolors, Kuretake and Kisho. Then I'll show you how to paint roses, and I'll use Kisho as a product demo to show how well this watercolor brand performs. For the comparative color swatch I'll do later, I'll use this Canson cold press heavy gauge watercolor paper. Kuretake Gansai Tambi is already a popular paint, and I've previously done a review of that in another video and used it in many painting projects in this channel. But I want to pit that against another watercolor set that I recently stumbled upon. The brand is called Kisho, and it's almost identical in nature to Kuretake. Both Kuretake and Kisho are Gansai paints, which is a term used to refer to traditional Japanese watercolors. Gansai follows a different recipe for their collagen and gelatin binders, which is not like the gum arabic binders generally used by Western watercolor brands. The Kisho that I have is a 72-piece paint set arranged in this double-layered hard cardboard case. Each layer holds a palette of 36 beautiful colors. The included chart matches the order of the pans inside the box. Now, the pans are numbered in succession from 1 to 76 and are arranged in the box from top to bottom, column by column, instead of from left to right. You might wonder why 76 when there are only 72 pans in the set. I checked the list, and for some reason the manufacturer skipped numbers 19, 52, 68, and 69. I don't know why, but you won't find those pans in the box. Now, the name labels found at the bottom of the pans and those on the paper are written in Japanese characters without English translations. I heard some people say that they have English labels in their sets, but mine doesn't, and this came straight from Japan, not from the US. So in making the color swabs, please pardon me if I matched the wrong colors. I actually went by appearances, by visual recognition and not by actual color names, since I can't read Japanese. Now, Kuretake and Kisho have similar rectangular pans, as you would notice. They were designed to be big enough to accommodate large sumi brushes. Kisho has all sorts of color choices, including fluorescent and pearlescent ones. Some of the metallic colors in Kisho are almost the same as those found in Kuretake's Gems, Pearl, and Starry sets. The fluorescent colors look like they'll glow in the dark. Seriously, these are the kinds of colors you want to wear if you want to blind somebody. Now, the two sections of this set stack well together. You'll know which one goes on the bottom because that one has an extended cardboard base. On top goes this fancy textured green metallic cover with an elegant damask pattern. Okay, so how does Kisho Gansai match up with Kuretake? That's what we're here to find out. I've picked a few of the basic colors to compare, and like I said earlier, I picked them more out of visual recognition and not based on their color names because the Japanese inscriptions don't make sense to me. I wrote two blues in this chart because one is kinda more cerulean while the other looks more ultramarine. In the painting swatch here, I followed specific steps. I make sure that I always wash the brush thoroughly between applications to make sure I'm not mixing pigments because I don't want to inadvertently affect the results. I also changed the water in my container. In applying the paint, I start with a watery application to See how well the pigments show through and how well the paint spreads. After that, I squeeze the excess water out of the bristles using a paper towel, and then I apply the paint in sort of a dry brush style. The bristles are still a bit damp because that's the only way we can pick up the pigments from the pan. But the second layer of swatches that you see me do here are basically less watery than the first. And I do that to see how vibrant and opaque the colors can get. As you watch me go from color to color, you can judge for yourself which set you prefer, whether it's the Kuretake or the Kisho. But if I may share my impressions, I'd say that Kisho is a clear winner for me. It's very creamy. I thought there are no watercolor sets in the market that can be more buttery than Kuretake, but I was mistaken. The laydown of Kisho is so smooth and silky, it's an absolute joy to use. The paint is so well pigmented also, whether I add lots of water to it or apply it dry brush style. Kisho almost behaves like gouache because it's really opaque, especially when there's very little water. Cracks did show up in the pans after a period of storage, but that's common with Gansai, whether it's Kuretake or Kisho. Those imperfections are cosmetic and they don't mean that the quality of the paints have degraded. So if you notice cracks in your set, don't worry too much. Just moisten the paint and smooth over the cracks with your brush and they will look nice again. See these colors, aren't they so pretty? Now, price-wise, Kisho is a bit more expensive than Kuretake Gansai Tambi. Of course, prices depend on the vendor, but just to give you a ballpark idea, in Amazon, Kuretake averages about $1 to $1.20 per pan, while Kisho is about $1.45 to $1.60 per pan. And that's in US dollars, not Canadian. That said, if budget is a constraint, settling with Kuretake isn't at all a bad deal because Kuretake itself is also a superb watercolor. Oh, sorry for the messy chart I made here. I realized I didn't leave enough space for my brush strokes. Anyway, I drew arrows here to match the color codes with the swatches, and I hope that doesn't confuse you. Okay, if you've watched me enough times in this channel, you would have figured that I hate making swatches. I'm too lazy to be bothered by it. But I can't stress enough the need to color swatch with Gansai because what you see on the tub isn't what you'll get on paper. Let me show you what I mean. Take for example Kisho's paint number 61. From the surface, it seems you're getting a yellow ochre or a light brown color of some sort. But the moment I activate this with this water, like look at this, see? It turns really yellow. And true enough, on paper, what you get is a nice burst of golden yellow sunshine. It's really yellow. And take this Pan Color 41. From the looks of it, it seems you're getting a dark brown. But once activated, it's actually the color of plum or magenta. These color shifts are pretty awesome if you like surprises, but if you're working on something meticulous, you don't want to be surprised this way and end up ruining your art. So, bottom line is, it will do well for you to color in the chart that comes with the Kisho set, so you have a guide. Now let's jump to painting roses. I've gone ahead to draw some roses here. I want to show you how Kisho Gansai works in an actual painting. I'm sketching with a watercolor pencil instead of a graphite because I don't want the black lead marks to interfere with the painting. If you want to follow along and learn how to draw roses, feel free to pause the video at any point. Basically, I draw either a circle or an egg shape to define the head of my rose. Then I draw alternating and overlapping layers of petals starting from the bottom, heading upwards. And as I reach inwards towards the center of the flower, see here, I draw a tiny swirl to show the core of the flower. I usually draw the sepal and the stem last. The sepal is that tiny green attachment at the base of the flower. It's the one that looks like a leaf. That's what you call it, a sepal. Anyway, those are just the basic mechanics of how I draw roses. I'm not saying it's the right way of doing it because I've seen many artists draw it differently, but let me just show you my own personal style, and I hope you can somehow pick up a tip or two from my own process. Just so you know, I'm not aiming for realism here, but more of whimsy and impressionism, which is how I normally paint. That's my own personal technique and style. Now, when painting flowers, pay close attention to the light and dark tones. Dark tones are normally found in the inner petals nearer the base of the flower, and normally there are also dark tones where the petals curl. You know, when they're about to wilt, they kind of curl on the edges, right? Okay, so I'm only using a few colors from this Kisho Gansai, but I must say, I'm loving the ease by which this paint spreads on paper. They're not streaky. I mean, the colors blend well without creating mud. The pigment really is vibrant, as you can see, and if I tilt this paper at an angle, you'll notice the metallic sheen that came with the metallic paint I picked. Oh wow, I must say this Gansai paint is now my new favorite medium. But well, Kuretake is still one of my dear loves. No way am I giving up on that brand, but I'm just saying Kuretake definitely found stiff competition with Kisho Gansai. Alright, friends, that's it for this watercolor comparison between Kuretake Gansai Tami and Kisho Gansai. I hope you enjoyed the painting demo and found this episode informative as well. This is again Ginger O'Malley from Art That Plays and Prays. Thanks for watching and keep safe.